And welcome to the Metal Mixtape here on KSKQ's 89.5 FM Ashland, Oregon, 94.1 FM Medford, Oregon. Stream online on kskq.org. I am honored and beyond privileged to have Tuomas from Wolfheart on the line with me. What is up, Tuomas?
The only thing that I have in my head that please talk slower during the interview. That was like,
oh yeah, no, that's my intro. You know,
that's good. That's
go.
really.
I've said that intro about 2,000 times in my
Yeah,
career. So
that explains. Yeah, I am
oh yeah.
good. I'm super busy doing way more interview that I ever done, which is I think is a great credit for the new record label, and also it's a good sign for the album. So I'm having a really good time.
Oh yeah, the new label being Rain in Phoenix, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that's super badass, man. After I got my son to bed last night, all I did was just listen to Wolfheart all night, dude. And I was just like, it's always good to end the day with some brutal music, some brutal riffage, man. You up there just look like one badass mofo, dude, just ready to kick anybody's ass on stage. So it was awesome, dude. And I've been playing guitar for 20 years, and one of the things I kept looking at was like your like custom Explorer that you have. Oh, it's so freaking sick, dude. You have like this like awesome like nasty headstock on the end
Yeah.
of it, dude, which is just so badass. Was that like custom made just for you?
Yeah. It's a very small custom shop in Finland, and the headstock is partly like their trademark, and yeah, it's 1 inch longer than regular baritone, and
Yeah.
like I've been playing custom guitars for the past 20 years, but I also have like certain issues with my playing. I have some weird going on with my left hand thumb. Like the muscles and the joint gets very like easily tired. Like, and I don't have that issue in the gym or anywhere else. But playing like longer live shows with those super thick strings and that tuning, it's it used to be very like a struggle for me, but now having a custom builder that lives just less than 100 kilometers away, that I could go and visit once a week when he was building the guitar, and we made this special neck profile that there's kind of like a shelf on the neck profile where I can rest my thumb a little bit better. Like all the small details are built in a way that it works as a perfect tool for touring. Like if the neck is made from 5 pieces so that it endures the cold on the plane or the trailer, and going back to the stage super warm, back to the icy trailer when you're touring in winter. So everything is designed to be the perfect tool for me for Wolfheart. So yeah. And it's
That's bad.
Explorer, so it's the coolest shape in the universe anyway.
Oh yeah, no, it's Explorers are badass. You know, I'm sure you're not the only guitar player who's ever had that sort of issue. Have you ever thought about like maybe like mass producing like this guitar and like and unless you already did and I don't know, but mass producing it for people that maybe have similar issues?
No, I think because these kind of like joint kind of issues or the small muscle issues, I know that there's some drummers have not similar things, but it's so individual thing. It comes from different directions, and it's the reasons vary quite a lot, and it wouldn't work. The same thing wouldn't work for anybody that works for me. It would me need to customize for the other guy to help him out. So mass production wouldn't work. But I would strongly recommend like more people going into this like a small custom shop guitar making kind of thing, because it's a different feel to it when it's, you know, this is mine, this is one in the million, this was made for me. I made the decision. It's not from a shelf from a guitar store, or it is. And I do like the idea that if more instruments would come from these small artisan craftsmanship shops than just huge assembly lines from whatever guitar factory it is. But I think it would just increase the quality of instruments in the world when more guitars would be just individually handmade.
Yeah, no, I 100% completely on that. I don't know. I always feel like the older guitars have always been nicer to me, and the newer ones have just been like I don't know. I have a weird picking style as well. But mine is with my right hand with my picking hand. I have a habit of digging into my strings too much and getting all my paint rubbed off my paint and like off my pickups. Like I'll play guitar for a month and I'll literally scrape all the paint off my pickups. And in the center between my pickups, I'll literally wear off all the paint. I can't help it.
No, I, like this is
Maybe
I have my guitar case behind me, but I left the guitar to the rehearsal place. I would have shown you because it's not that old, my guitar, but I do have the same. I like to push the pick really deep in between the strings because that gives a little bit different tone. You get more, especially with the thick strings and baritone tunings. You need to work a little bit more to get the certain high end and certain definition for the picking. And I worn out all the wood. Like this has a huge wide area on top of the strings where my pick is constantly just digging the wood of the guitar. So yeah, I know exactly what you say.
I love it. I love it. You were talking about Wolfheart, being in Finland, correct?
Yeah.
So I know a lot of bands from Finland. And is how's the music scene over there in Finland? Do you go out and watch local bands? Do you run into other musicians from other big bands or like around the world? Like what's the metal scene out there? And do you go to local shows when you're not touring or working on albums? Like because I'm a promoter here in Southern Oregon. I throw festivals, I book shows, I do the radio thing and everything. But what's the metal scene over there? Like
Well, when you compare to the population that is just 5.5 million,
hmm
it's there's been studies, and this is not even a joke. We have the most amount of metal bands per capita. That's just like, and we are winning that competition so easily. And yeah, there's the amount of metal bands, but also the activity of the metal bands. We have so many metal shows happening at the like on weekly basis. The summer there is dozens of metal festivals. Like if I do like if I have a new album with both my bands Before the Dawn and Wolfheart, Before the Dawn being a little bit more like have more clean vocals and a little bit more like mainstream, I could just do only Finnish festivals. I could do 12 to 15 festival shows not leaving the country at all.
That's
Like
insane.
and it's like and also like the metal media and everything is super active. The government itself is very like supportive towards metal music. Like you can apply funds from the government when you go on tour. You can apply for funds as a like an individual musician if you want to
Wow.
like practice for or your writing period for the next album. You can apply for funds that you can focus that 1 month only on the studio, or you can get more like new gear or some like a help
Wow.
with the rental of the studio and stuff like that. And that's just like the basic system. It's this a lot of like good things happened in Finland to create this kind of like attitude in general. Like Spine Farm was one big reason because they were the label that brought Nightwish and Boodum. And when those bands like break like huge outside Finland, that made a massive wave of new bands because a lot of the metal guitar players and musicians realized like you can actually make it big from Finland. And then we had this the Finnish like a horror metal act Lordi in the
Mhm.
Eurovision competition, and they won the Eurovision competition. And then we have the Finnish Prime Minister doing these devil signs on main news. So that's how well the metal music in general is accepted in Finland. So the attitude towards metal is super positive. Like government sees metal music as a great cultural import thing from Finland because we have such a great metal bands that are so famous outside Finland. So they are really like supportive. So
That's so
it is as good as you could get. I don't think there's a similar metal scene and attitude towards metal anywhere else in the world.
That is so freaking beautiful. That's insane. I mean, I could only imagine because I know here, like, I don't know, there's nothing like that here in the United States where it's embraced like that by the government and just culturally and everything. Like, I'm surprised like you don't have like a heavy metal national anthem in your schools. They're like, all right, children, we're singing the new song by Wolfheart today. I hope everybody brought their books.
But it
That
is like you don't like I don't realize, and as a Finnish metal musician, you don't really realize it until you start talking with other bands from different countries that how well things actually are. Because of course there's a downside. We are very up in the north in Europe, so if we want to do one festival in Germany, that usually means one layover and two flights to one direction. You lose basically 48 hours just to play 45 minutes in a field in Germany. So it is not that easy from Finland to get to the Central Europe where the A market of metal is actually taking place in Europe. And also like it's not getting any easier to come to North America. Your government decided to raise the visas with the humble 250%. So that kind of like a but it's but yeah, it's like when it comes to like being a young musician and wanting to have a band and seeing that as a possible career, I think Finland is a great place for that.
So, you were saying, how like there's like a lot of shows weekly, and there's just, a lot of bands per capita. Does it ever get like competitive over there, or is there enough people going to shows over there if there's like a lot of things going on? Because I know like in our area, like we'll sometimes have saturation where there's too many shows happening the same night or too many shows that week. Is there a lot of people going out to these shows and supporting all the time?
It is enough. Of course, we have smaller and bigger shows, but like some of the biggest Finnish singing metal bands only play in Finland. They only do club tours and festivals in Finland, and they don't need to work any other job at the same time. They are having a successful, like financially and musically successful career inside our borders. And
Oh,
they can do like, they can do like 40 to 50 club shows in a year and then 10 to 12 festivals in the summer and still maintain the audience or even grow bigger. So it's I think Finnish like music listeners are super loyal and also very active of actually attending to the concerts. The of course pandemic doesn't count, and then the Ukraine Russia crisis didn't help. But yeah, still we are like it started like 5 years ago, just before the pandemic, that first Finnish metal bands started to do their own arena shows, but they are doing ice halls and stuff like that. So it seems that it's even growing bigger. Metal local bands are able to do like domestic bands are able to do like this arena size productions that never was unheard of like 10 years ago. It was just the big European bands that bring that kind of like level of production to the arena shows. So it's even growing.
That's awesome. That's absolutely incredible. Definitely want to switch over to talk about Wolfheart a little bit. So I believe Draconian Darkness is your eighth release, right? Your eighth
So,
album release. Seventh?
yeah.
Oh well. Well, I don't know why I have eight here then. All right, maybe I counted wrong. I can't count. I'm just joking. So far all I've listened to right now off your new album is I watched the three videos last night religiously of Evenfall, Grave, Trial by Fire. How do you how what where do you pull inspirations from when you're writing an album and you're going through album through album through album? Is there something specifically that you want to do every time you do a new album? if there's something new you want to try, maybe an avenue that you haven't hit. Like when you're writing a new album after a new album, like what's going through your mind as far as like stylistically or inspirational, like where you want to take it.
It all depends of the first idea that I get in my head, and then my writing style basically leads the way from there because I always need to get the first riff or the first melody, and then I start building the song around that, and then that song basically leads the way for the rest of the album. And then I know what the album is going to be about. I know what the basically the musical theme and the lyrical theme is going to be. And of course, when I know that concept, then I try to expand things, which is sometimes tricky as a songwriter. You think like I did something that I've never done before. This is people are gonna be shocked when they hear this, and then when you play the songs, even to your bandmates, they're like, "Well, this is good old solid Wolfheart, nothing too surprising." I'm like, "What? Didn't you hear the thing that I did with the guitar?" Because now I have my pinky finger in that box and it's never been there before, and now it sounds a little bit like minor but it's actually a major, and they're like, no, we don't hear any difference. So sometimes you are making changes and you are doing new stuff, but it's you are in your own bubble, and this scale of your doings is actually not that big that you think. But it's always like when I have the idea what kind of album I want to make, then I try to like push those boundaries. If previous album was a concept album about the Finnish mythology, very Nordic, very nature based, so that pushed the music to more melodic and more like mid tempo that we usually do. This album is more apocalyptic point of view, and so the music became darker, and I wanted to push it to the darker direction and do more in that sense for the album, so it would sound darker and more harsh and more aggressive. And but there's always like this super silly thing usually on the background. Like now I told you the more artistic and poetic version of the whole thing, but how it all started, I didn't have the idea, I didn't have any riffs written. I was just wondering myself in my head, like, should the next album be more aggressive or even more melodic? Like, which direction should I choose where I push the band? And we had this the big show in Helsinki in Finland, and there was a really good friend of our drummer who is he's a hardcore singer, but he's like not like a metalhead, and he doesn't drink, he doesn't do mosh pits, he just stands on the very edge of the wall with his hands crossed in his lap, and no reactions you get from him. You see him in the audience, but there's nothing. He's just like a blank canvas. And after the show, he came to my drummer explaining like and he was super excited, super enthusiastic, like just ranting like the whole gig he had this feeling from the beginning to the end that he needs to ride into a battle, like that how he experienced the whole gig, that from the very first note to the end he had this idea like this, now we go to war, now we ride into the battle. And that kind of like stuck in my head. I was like, you want to ride into battle, well, hold my beer. And then when I started writing the first song, I had that in my head. Like, this guy wants to ride into a battle. Maybe the song should be like a perfect soundtrack for this guy riding into a battle. And that's how Grave came to be. And when I had the Grave written, then I knew that this is going to set the tone of the album. We're going to do a lot of dark and harsh stuff, but we're going to build huge choruses in the middle. So
No,
sometimes
absolutely. Go ahead.
sometimes sometimes you hear one silly comment, and in the end, that was the spark for the whole album.
No, 100%, and it's funny that you brought it up specifically with Grave because I was, you pretty much answered my question I was going to ask next, because you hear all like the orchestration, symphonic pianos, and just beautiful sounds leading, building up until these brutal riffs. So that pretty much answered my question, because yeah, it does feel like you're right into the battle. It does feel like something extremely epic where where yeah, I mean, you guys could have all been dressed as knights on horseback, you know, getting ready to spear somebody in their ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So no, and it's totally awesome. And I also love like the harmonies and the vocals. You know what I mean? It's Grave was the one where you guys did Out in the Ocean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I could just tell like everybody in the band was like singing along and like kind of harmonizing together, which was super awesome, you know. Which I totally enjoy. I'm super excited for the album coming out September 6th. I can't wait to blast it everywhere. And I know you guys one of my friends played with you guys, I think when you guys came to Bend, Oregon a long time ago.
When do you remember? Or which band was it?
Oh well, I have friends in a band called Gravelich, and I think you guys, I think they must have been like 17 when you guys played with them, but I think you guys might have played in Bend, Oregon before, or somewhere in Oregon.
We played, I think on every tour we have done, we played in Oregon. But
Okay.
I
Oh yeah,
only
it's all right.
there's this one venue like Hawthorne Theater or something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There we played,
It must have.
and
Oh, go ahead.
one was called Ballroom something, and it was upstairs on the second floor. The
Yep.
I that's what I remember from yeah, Oregon. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. No, that's awesome, man. But no, this album is absolutely brutal, absolutely awesome. What if you could say, or you already talked about how like like this album is basically like I mean it's a brutal album all the way. It's super melodic, it's super heavy, but it's also has that like beautiful orchestrations with it that makes it huge. After when do Probably my last question on this album, like when do you know an album is done? When do you know you've added enough songs? And when do you know that you want to edit anything else in a song? Like when do you know a song's done and an album's done?
Well, when it comes to songwriting, that's super easy because, like I said, I when I get the first idea and the first song done, then I start building the album around that song. So every song is designed to be part of the album. I don't know how to do that many bands do, that they write like 15 songs and then they pick the 10 best songs and then they just do the track list based on those. But like when it comes to composing, it's super easy for me to know when the album is done. It's a lot more layered situation when you are doing the final recording and the mixing, and then deciding like which layers we need more. Should we add a little bit more strings here? Is there enough guitar harmonies here? What is the balance with the mix? So then it's a lot more delicate thing, and that might like take quite many like mixing rounds to find the perfect balance itself. When the album is ready, that's a different thing. When it comes to like the last piece of the production, and that can be tricky. I do recognize that at always some point I become a little bit deaf to my own music, and I hear balances that don't make sense. I'm too familiar of whatever is happening in the song and what is in every track, so I don't have my ears are not fresh enough. So then I rely heavily on our sound engineer and producer to tell me what actually makes sense or not. Because in the final day, I would just put everything louder. That's where I'm like I'm too close. I've been with the song since the writing process, then the recording process, then the mixing, and I would never mix my own music because of that, because I wouldn't be able to handle the overall picture. Then again, I shouldn't. But yeah, it's the ending is very delicate, and there I need some guidance and help from real professionals also to tell me like what makes sense and what human ears can hear anymore, and what's actually is where we need to stop. Yeah.
Okay, I like it. I like it. We don't have that much time left, so Draconian Darkness coming out September 6th via Raining Phoenix Music, the new label. Super quick. I'm gonna ask you two fun questions completely unrelated to music. Tuomas, are you ready?
Yes.
All right, in a zombie apocalypse, you could use one weapon to destroy the zombie horde, but it can't be a nuclear weapon or the cure. What is your one weapon?
This is yeah, this is. I knew that this is a good interview already from the beginning, but this question is the icing of the cake because I was at the gym today, and by some reason between the sets I was looking different medieval weapons, and I thought like, and I was thinking like, why am I looking at these weird weapons? There has to be a reason. My choice of weapon is mole. I don't know. Did
Maul?
I? Yeah, that or Warhammer.
I love it. Dude, those are badass. Okay. Okay, if you could choose your death, and it had to be by somebody in a horror movie or just any medieval movie, how would you want to get killed? And by who?
By who?
I don't know if you
mm,
watch horror movies.
I do. I watch a lot of horror movies, but I don't want anybody to stab me or saw me with a chainsaw or something like that. But I'm a huge fan of science fiction movies. But there's one horror science fiction movie called Event Horizon.
Yep.
I like it would be really cool. No, not cool, but kind of cool to experience because I've seen different kind of deaths when you are in the airlock of a spaceship and you've been blown into the space. Like
Oh,
it was very bloody in Event Horizon, but in some other movies, it looks very peaceful and you just freeze instantly and just float away.
yep.
So I would like to be like thrown out from the airlock. I don't know by who, but I would just like to. That would be my death.
I love it. I love it. I don't want to go too much into the other journalists' time because I know it's already almost it's interview time for the next guy. But Tuomas, thank you so much for being on the Metal Mixtape. I can't wait to air this. There was a lot of people on my social medias that were super excited. The new album, Draconian Darkness, out September 6th via Rain in Phoenix Music. Oh, last but not least, can you say this is Tuomas from Wolfheart and you are listening to the Metal Mixtape?
What was the name?
The Metal Mixtape.
Metal Mixtape. This is Tuomas from Wolfheart, and you are listening to Metal Mixtape.
Thank you, brother. You have a good day, good night, and I can't wait for September 6th to rock the fuck out. Thank you, brother.
Thanks.
Bye.